Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you and for your interest in addressing one of the most urgent threats to our children today, to American children and children everywhere. My name is Arturo Bejar, and I appear before you today as a dad with first-hand experience of a child who received unwanted sexual advances on Instagram, as an expert with over 20 years of experience working as a senior leader, including leading online security and safety and protection at Facebook. It is unacceptable that a 13-year-old girl gets propositioned on social media. Unfortunately, it happens all too frequently today. In a carefully designed survey by Instagram in 2021, we found that 1 in 8 kids aged 13 to 15 years old experienced unwanted sexual advances in the last 7 days. This is unacceptable, and my work has shown that it doesn't need to be this way. Starting in 2009, I was the engineering and product leader for Facebook's efforts to reduce online threats to both children and adults. I met regularly with senior executives, including Mark Zuckerberg, and they were supportive of this work. As a parent, I took the work personally, and I worked hard to help create a safer environment. By the time I left in 2015, I felt the work was going in the right direction. A few years later, my 14-year-old daughter joined Instagram. She and her friends began having awful experiences, including repeated unwanted sexual advances, harassment. She reported these incidents to the company, and it did nothing. In large part because of what I learned as her father, in October of 2019, I returned to Facebook, this time as a consultant with Instagram's well-being team. We tried to set goals based on the experiences of teens themselves. Instead, the company wanted to focus on enforcing its own narrowly defined policies, regardless of whether that approach reduced the harm that teens were experiencing. I discovered that most of the tools for kids that we had put in place during my earlier time at Facebook had been removed. I observed new features being developed in response to public outcry, which were in reality kind of a placebo, a safety feature in name only, to placate the press and regulators. I say this because, rather than being based on user experience data, they were based on very deliberately narrow definitions of harm. The company was grading its own homework. For example, Instagram knows when a kid spends a significant amount of time looking at harmful content that they are recommending. Meta must be held accountable for their recommendations and for the unwanted sexual advances that Instagram enables. As soon as I understood this gap, I did what I had always done. I researched the problem, vetted the numbers, and informed Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg, and other executives. I did this because for 6 years, that was my job, to let them know of critical issues that affected the company. It's been 2 years since I left, and these are the conclusions I have come to. 1, Meta knows the harm that kids experience on their platform, and the executives know that their measures fail to address it. 2, there are actionable steps that Meta could take to address the problem. And 3, they are deciding time and time again to not tackle these issues. Instagram is the largest public directory of teenagers with pictures in the history of the world. Meta, which owns Instagram, is a company where all work is driven by data. But it has been willing to be transparent about data regarding the harm that kids experience, and unwilling to reduce them. Social media companies must be required to become more transparent so that parents and public can hold them accountable. Many have come to accept the false proposition that sexualized content, unwanted advances, bullying, misogyny, and other harms are unavoidable evil. This is just not true. We don't tolerate unwanted sexual advances against children in any other public context, and they can similarly be prevented on Facebook, Instagram, and other social media products. What is the acceptable frequency for kids to receive unwanted sexual advances? This is an urgent crisis. When asked, has anyone threatened you, damaged your reputation, insulted you, disrespected you, excluded you, or left you out? 11% of kids said yes in the last week. And 1 in 4 witnessed it happening. And the company does nothing about that. When asked if they saw a post that made them feel bad about themselves, 1 in 5 kids said yes in the last week. Meta executives know this. The public now knows this.